Welcome to Galactic Tales YT, where the world of science fiction comes to life through powerful stories, emotional journeys, and breathtaking adventures across the stars. Human found a trapped alien girl beneath his old home. Her past will change the galaxy. 1. The galaxy's forgotten species. For centuries, humans were just a rumor in the galaxy. They didn't conquer worlds. They didn't boast in council meetings. They built, traded, and stayed quiet. Far too quiet for most alien empires to notice. To the great powers of space, humans were simple workers, miners, explorers, engineers. A small, unpredictable race tucked away on the edge of known space. But every legend starts the same way, with someone mistaking kindness for weakness, and that mistake was about to wake up the most dangerous species in the stars. The first spark? The Craxian Dominion, a warlike empire built on conquest, had grown hungry. Their fleets stretched across star systems, feeding on smaller colonies like wolves in a field of sheep. When their sensors found a new human mining world, Vega 7, they didn't see a colony. They saw prey, no warnings, no diplomacy, no mercy. The attack came at dawn. The sky split open with thunder as Craxian ships fell like shadows from the upper atmosphere. Buildings shattered, oceans boiled, the ground shook with fire. The humans of Vega 7 didn't even have time to scream. In 12 minutes, the colony was gone. 40,000 civilians, burned, crushed, erased. And yet one signal escaped. A single human voice whispering through static, shaking but defiant. This is Vega 7. They came without warning. Tell Earth, don't forgive them. That message changed history. The calm before the storm, 3 days later, deep under the red skies of Mars. The Terran Command Council met in silence. Admirals, generals, scientists. No one spoke for a long time. The image of Vega 7's destruction hovered in the air, a silent recording of ruin. Finally, Admiral Marcus Holt, an old soldier with steel-gray eyes, stood. "Any word from the Craxians?" he asked quietly. "None," said the aide. "They're denying it even happened." The Admiral stared at the image again. Burning cities, human bodies turned to dust. Then he said the words that would echo across the stars. "Then we'll answer in a language they understand." The room shifted from silence to fury. Commands flew. Lights flared. Within an hour, the Terran Defense Network was online. For the first time in a century, Earth was at war. The rest of the galaxy laughs. When word of humanity's anger spread, most alien empires laughed. The humans sneered a Valoran diplomat. Those fragile creatures? They'll shout, send a few ships, and surrender once they taste real war. But not everyone laughed. In a quiet bar on the trade world Zorath, a scarred old alien mercenary lifted his glass and muttered, "Don't mock them. Humans don't start wars to win. They start wars to end them." His companions rolled their eyes. But years ago he had fought beside humans, and remembered how they fought like cornered beasts, how they smiled through pain, how they burned their own ships just to take the enemy with them. He shivered. He knew what was coming. The Steel Awakens back on Mars. Massive shipyards came alive after decades of silence. Engines roared. Giant starships floated from dry docks, their black hulls marked with white letters, TDF Iron Spear, Valiant Dawn, Liberty's Fist. Every forgotten weapon, every rusted drone, every satellite in orbit was pulled back into service. On Luna Base, an old engineer grinned as a reactor hummed to life. "They wanted to see what we've been hiding," he said. "Now they'll see." On Titan, soldiers lined up as the Terran banner rose high again. The old symbol of humanity's unity, glowing with silver light against the dark sky. For the first time in generations, the scattered children of Earth stood together again. The message from Earth before launching the fleets. The President of Earth, Dr. Helena Ward, sent one broadcast across the galaxy. Her voice was calm, cold, measured. "This is not a declaration of war. This is a declaration of survival. The Craxians attacked civilians. They thought we would hide. They thought we forgot how to fight. But we remember. We always remember." The last words echoed before the transmission cut out. "You wanted to see monsters? Then watch closely." 7. Fear spreads. among the stars, in the Craxian throne room, General Threx Vornak listened to the human message and laughed. "Arrogant little mammals," he growled. "Send me their fleet when it comes. I'll break it in half." But his laughter faded when his officers rushed in. "General, sensors report hundreds of Terran war signatures leaving Earth orbit. Thousands more from Mars, Titan, and the outer colonies." "They're coming, all of them." Vornak froze. "All of them?" "Yes, sir. Every human ship we've ever mapped." The general stared at the screen. A single thought chilled him. Humans were supposed to scatter. Not unite, yet here they were. United, silent, burning through space like a wave of vengeance. Cliffhanger, the first strike from the dark side of Mars. Fleets of silver and black ships ignited their engines. The void filled with trails of blue flame. Thousands of Terran warships, old, new, rebuilt, formed a massive spear aimed at the Craxian worlds. Inside the lead battleship, Admiral Holt gave one final order: no mercy, no surrender. Make them remember our silence, and why they should have left it alone. As the ships vanished into hyperspace, the stars blinked, and the galaxy felt something it hadn't felt in centuries. Fear, when humans strike back one. The Ghost Fleet, the Craxians, expected noise. They expected huge, flashing human ships charging in with banners and speeches. What they got was silence. Their forward patrol station near Zeta 13 went dark without a single alarm. One moment, 42 soldiers monitored scanners and talked over coffee. The next, the station was spinning through vacuum. Air gone, walls melted, no survivors. Not a single shot was recorded. No ship seen, no warning. The station logs ended with a single silent frame, a black Terran ship floating outside the window. No name, no lights, no heat signature. The Ghost Fleet had arrived. Project Revenant, decades ago before peace took over, humans built something they never admitted existed. A black project called Revenant, a stealth fleet designed for assassination, sabotage, and surgical war. No one knew how many ships were built, or who crewed them. But when Vega 7 was destroyed, Revenant woke up. Admiral Holt unlocked the codes himself. One by one, silent black triangles lifted from secret hangars buried beneath ice moons and asteroid belts. Each ship had no broadcast signal, no markings, no mercy. Their purpose: disappear, appear, destroy. The Craxians lose their eyes. 3. More Craxian border stations went silent. Their communication relays melted. Their power grids failed. Their oxygen systems turned off. No alarms. No distress signals. The Craxian High War Council panicked. Generals argued. Scientists denied it could be humans. How? One of them shouted. They don't have stealth ships. But one junior officer said softly, maybe they do. And maybe we gave them the reason to use them. Captain Voss returns at the front of the new Terran assault was Captain Ilara Voss, now commanding the battlecruiser TDF Iron Spear. Once a quiet strategist, Ilara had changed. After seeing the ashes of Vega 7, after walking through the ruins of a nursery still smelling of burnt plastic, she had become something else. Not angry. Not cruel, just focused. And when she spoke, her words were as sharp as the weapons she launched. We don't scream, she told her crew. We don't roar, we strike. And we don't miss. 5. Operation Ashfall. Ilara's first target was Outpost Kael'Ter, a Craxian fuel depot orbiting a gas giant. It powered 3 nearby colonies. Hundreds of ships refueled there every week. It was heavily guarded. Turrets, mines, drone swarms, and none of it mattered. At Aero 312 Standard Time, TDF Iron Spear and 2 Revenant ships dropped out of hyperspace just 100 kilometers from the station. No announcements. No negotiations. They fired once. A kinetic missile. No heat, no plasma. Just a 300-ton rod of titanium traveling at near light speed. It passed through the station like a blade through paper. The Craxians didn't even understand what happened. Half the station vanished. The rest collapsed in on itself. Fire spiraled through space like a silent scream. Craxian ships scrambled to respond. Too late. The Revenant ships were gone. Vanished into blackness. The message left behind, on the wreckage of Kael'Ter, Terran Command left behind a signal beacon. It broadcast a simple message, playing in the Craxian language on repeat. You started this war for glory. You wanted a fight. Now, you have one. Signed, Humanity. Across Craxian space, fear spread faster than fire. They weren't fighting a noisy, emotional species anymore. They were fighting ghosts with fury in their blood. The face of warfare from the battlefield. A human war reporter named Sarah Knox transmitted a secret video. She had followed the fleet, stayed hidden and filmed the aftermath of Calter. The video showed the silence, the destruction, the emptiness, and then her final words to the camera. They laughed at us. They saw our tears and thought it meant weakness. But humans are strange creatures. We cry when we're angry. And now we are very, very angry. The video spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Millions watched. Billions shivered. Even species that hated humanity began to whisper, maybe we shouldn't have pushed them. Cliffhanger, the wrong prisoner back in Craxian space. On a deep prison station called Black Cell, alarms rang through the halls. A mysterious prisoner, long forgotten, had escaped. Cameras showed only his back, human, scarred, walking calmly through fire. Security teams tried to stop him. None survived. He left one sentence burned into a steel door using nothing but his blade. Tell Craxia, I'm coming home. The system went dark, and when Craxian Command reviewed the prisoners' war won. They thought he was broken. 7 years ago, during a border conflict, Craxian scouts captured a Terran Special Forces soldier. They called him Subject 17. They tried to break him through isolation, torture, chemical testing, and neural shocks. Every day they injected fear into his veins and called it science. Every night they whispered, human will, so fragile, so loud. But Subject 17 didn't scream. He didn't cry. He watched and he waited. No name, just a number. The Craxians never learned his name. They didn't realize he had once led strike teams on 3 dead planets. They didn't know he was trained for zero-gravity knife combat, that he could hold his breath for 9 minutes, that he once killed a war beast by staring it down until it starved. They just saw a quiet man in a cell and assumed they had won, until the night the power failed. Silence, then death. Black Cell Prison was built inside an asteroid. No escape, no signals. But when the generators failed for just 90 seconds, Subject 17 left his cage. He moved like smoke. One by one, lights died. Doors opened. Alarms failed. The guards never saw his face. Only their own blood on the walls before everything went dark. He took nothing but a blade made from a piece of his own cell wall, and with it, he carved 3 words into steel before vanishing. I remember everything. 4. A ghost among monsters now. The Craxians were hunting their own prison. Elite trackers in armor scanned the ruins of Black Cell. Their boots echoed through empty halls. The air smelled of oil and burnt flesh. One soldier, nervous, asked, "Why is it so quiet?" His commander whispered, "Because he's still here." Then they found the message, painted in blood across a corridor. You taught me pain. Now I'll teach you fear. 10 seconds later, the lights cut out again. Only 2 Craxians made it back to the ship. Neither spoke again. The legend begins across Craxian space. Rumors spread like fire. A human had escaped from the deepest prison. He was burning their black sites, killing commanders, stealing weapons. Some called him a ghost. Others said he was already dead. But all agreed on one thing. Where the lights go out, the human walks. 6. Meanwhile, on Earth back in Terran Command, Admiral Holt listened to the reports. Classified files flashed across the screen. Photos of ruined Craxian labs. Video of one survivor screaming, "He's not human. He's something worse." Then Holt saw the name. Recovered ID, Lalti. Commander Dax Morin, Terran Special Forces. Holt stood. Dax is alive. Captain Alara Voss, now famous for her swift strikes, frowned. Should we bring him home? Holt shook his head. No. Let him run. Let them feel what we did when Vega burned. 7. What the galaxy feared in the trade stations and neutral worlds, aliens began speaking the humans' name in whispers. They feared the Terran fleet, yes. But this was different. The fleet followed orders. But Dax Morin, he followed rage. One alien mercenary who escaped a black site fire was asked what he saw. He answered with shaking hands. I saw nothing, just my men, lifted into shadows. Did he say anything? The reporter asked. Just once, the mercenary said, when he left. He swallowed hard. War isn't a game. It's a memory, and I remember what you did. Cliffhanger. He's not alone. In a forgotten part of the galaxy, Dax entered a Craxian shipyard alone. 5,000 workers. Hundreds of gods. By morning, it was ash. But deep in the ruins, he found a file, hidden under 6 encryption layers. It showed something that made even him go still. Other Terran prisoners, still alive, still suffering. Experiments worse than his. Dax looked into the camera mounted on the file's terminal. He knew they were watching. He leaned close. His eyes were cold, empty, and he whispered, You didn't just create a monster. You created your own extinction. Then he disappeared into the smoke. The children of fire won. Not all were lost. Dax. Morin stared at the data tablet, upon names. 12 Terrans, all marked. Subject class, failed, unstable. Status, contained for emergency use only. They weren't dead. They weren't free. They were locked away like dangerous weapons. On a planet called Veltar 6, no guards. No support. Just a bunker, deep underground, surrounded by warning signs in every language. Do not enter, not even for rescue. He entered anyway. Dax arrived alone. No ship showed on radar. No landing recorded. He walked across the ash plains of Veltar 6, carrying nothing but a blade, a black coat, and a silent purpose. The bunker doors hissed open after he touched the panel. The system scanned his DNA and whispered, Terran confirmed. Entry allowed. Warning, subjects are unstable. He walked into the dark. He didn't flinch. The forgotten ones, they lived in shadows. 12 Terrans. Once soldiers, scientists, scouts, now something else. Their skin marked with injector lines, eyes glowing faintly, whispers in their heads that never stopped. They didn't speak when they saw Dax. They stared. One stepped forward, a girl, maybe 20. Short hair, scarred jaw. You came, she said. Her voice cracked like fire under ice. Dax nodded. They hurt you. We hurt back, another replied, voice like gravel. Project Ember. The files didn't lie. These weren't survivors. They were experiments. Each had been pushed to their mental and physical limit. Nerves rewired, pain erased, empathy removed. Some could burn oxygen with their breath. Others could move faster than sound for 5 seconds. All could kill without thinking. Craxians had tried to make weapons out of humans. They succeeded, but they forgot one rule. Weapons don't stay in cages forever. Dax makes a choice. You want to leave? Dax asked. No, said the scarred girl. We want to go back. To Earth? She shook her head slowly. To the ones who did this. Dax looked around. These weren't soldiers anymore. They were embers of war waiting to ignite. He didn't ask again. He simply turned and said, Then follow me. Let's burn it down. 6. The fire rises. The next attack came with no warning. A Craxian weapons depot, orbiting their capital moon, exploded from the inside. Footage showed 12 shapes moving through the fire. Not running, not dodging, just walking, untouched. One Craxian scientist watching the video whispered, Is that them? His superior growled, It can't be. They were failures. Then the feed cut to static, and a message played in Terran English. The children of fire are awake. 7. Humanity holds its breath back on Earth. Admiral Holt saw the reports. Unauthorized attacks. Impossible survivals. Weapon systems stolen. This isn't standard ops, his officer warned. These aren't regular troops. Holt turned to the screen and saw them. Dax and the 12, standing in the remains of a Craxian tower, Holding the Terran flag, a recording played, Dax's voice. You made us monsters. Now meet what monsters become when they remember who they are. Cliffhanger. The final trigger. Inside the ruins of the lab where they were made. The Children of Fire found something else. A door. Hidden. Locked behind 9 encryptions. Dax opened it. Inside, hundreds of stasis pods. More humans. More experiments. Children. Teens. Civilians. And in the middle of the room, a machine still running. Project name. Eclipse Protocol. And one line blinking red on the screen. Activate final stage. Collapse Earth's moon. Dax's face went cold. He turned to the children. They're not done. The girl with the scar spoke first. Then neither are we. Eclipse Protocol 1. The moon was never safe. The Earth's moon had always been quiet. A silver giant hanging in the sky. Beautiful, harmless, peaceful. But hidden deep beneath the surface, older than human cities, was something not peaceful at all. Device, alien-made, buried before humanity learned to build. Fire. The Craxians had known about it for years. They just never had a reason to activate it, until now. The protocol awakens in a dark war room on Craxia Prime. General Vornak stood in silence, behind him. Holoscreens blinked red, images of burned labs, destroyed fleets, and 12 humans walking through flames, Subject 17, the failed experiments. They were winning. Vornak's voice was cold. Earth-made monsters. We'll give them extinction. He pressed a button. A transmission went deep, past satellites, past systems, into the old machine under the moon's crust. A single command. Eclipse Protocol. Initiate. And the moon began to crack. Earth feels the tremble on Earth. The sky looked wrong. Tides shifted. Animals panicked. Seismographs screamed. In a control center beneath New Geneva, alarms blared. The moon's gravity was fluctuating, twisting. Admiral Holt watched as data streamed across the screens. Someone did this, he whispered. They're trying to drop the moon on us. The Children of Fire. Respond light years away. Dax stood in the cold metal corridor of a dead Craxian base. The transmission logs confirmed it. Eclipse Protocol initiated. Target, Earth-Moon. The scarred girl stared at the screen. If that device goes off, Earth's gone. Dax didn't flinch. Then we move faster. Humanity's darkest plan back on Earth, the Terran Council met for an emergency vote. All other options were off the table. No time to evacuate. No way to stop the moon's fall, except one. Project Godchain, a weapon built long ago. Never tested. Banned by every treaty. But now, it was Earth's only chance. President Ward stood before the launch codes. This won't just destroy the moon, she said. It could shatter every ship, every station, even Earth's own shields. Admiral Holt spoke calmly. Better that than nothing left at all. So, Dax makes contact before the Godchain could launch. A message broke into Terran command, unauthorized, untraceable, video only. Dax Morin. He stood in front of a wall of fire. His face was ash-smeared, his eyes colder than space. Don't fire the Godchain, he said. We're already there. He turned the camera. Behind him, the Children of Fire stood armed. Blades, explosives, and tech stolen from dead Craxian ships. We've found the relay point, Dax said. The device under the moon isn't controlled from Earth's orbit. It's on a ship. A big one. Hidden inside the sun's corona. He looked into the camera like he was staring through time itself. We're going to end it. 7. Into the sun they called it the Heart Piercer. A Craxian dreadnought hidden for 50 years just behind the sun's flares. It used solar energy to power its doomsday relay. No ship could survive that close to the sun. No shields could hold. No rescue if it failed. But the children didn't hesitate. They launched anyway. 12 black ships screaming toward fire, heat, and impossible death. Cliffhanger, no way. Back inside the Heart Piercer, alarms rang. Craxian officers screamed. Then, silence. The cameras caught a single shape walking through the halls. Dax, alone. He reached the control room, slamming a red device onto the core. A time bomb, then he activated his helmet cam. One last message to Earth. Eclipse protocol ends now, but we're not coming back. He looked over his shoulder at the others. The scarred girl gave a quiet nod. The rest saluted in silence. Then Dax smiled. Tell the galaxy. If you come for Earth again, well, you won't even have time to scream. The camera cut to black. Then the sun flared, unnaturally bright, as the heart piercer exploded from inside. The echo of fire won. After the light silenced, the heart piercer was gone. The sun burned brighter for a moment, then calmed, as if it had never been touched. No explosion reached Earth. No debris fell from the sky. Just silence. And the moon. Still whole. Eclipse protocol had failed, and the ones who stopped it were gone. Earth watches the stars. In the skies above Earth, children pointed at the moon and asked, "Did we win?" In Terran Command, Admiral Holt gave no speeches. He just looked at the screens, the blank ones, and whispered, "Dax." They did it. Across every human colony, the same word spread. 12 entered the sun. None came back. And the world still lives. No parades. No cheers, just quiet, because true victory doesn't roar. It mourns. The galaxy reacts on alien worlds. Fear shifted to awe. A race that once begged for peace had now burned a warship inside a star. No weapons fired at them. No threats. Just a lesson. We'd rather die saving our home than live watching it burn. On Crexia Prime, the War Council sat in silence. The moon still stood. The heart piercer, gone. General Vornak collapsed in his chair. They gave everything, he muttered, for a planet of dirt and water, and yet they failed to kill them. Again. A signal in the void. 3 days later, a signal broke through static. A whisper, faint, flickering. Terran Command locked onto it immediately. It was coordinates. Nothing more. Deep space. Near a dead star. No planets, no life. Just silence until they sent a probe. And found one Terran drop pod, blackened, scarred, still warm. Inside, a heartbeat. The survivor, they brought the pod to a medical station orbiting Mars. Inside was a woman, barely alive, skin scorched, bones cracked, but her heart still beating like a war drum. It was Subject 9, the scarred girl, one of the children of fire. She opened her eyes, glowing faintly blue, and whispered, "It's not over," then passed out. The fracture revealed Subject 9. Wasn't just alive, she was changing. Her body was rebuilding itself faster than human science allowed. Her voice carried tones that weren't hers. And when she dreamed, systems around her short-circuited. She spoke in her sleep. They opened something. The heart piercer was more than a ship. It wasn't just transmitting Eclipse. It was receiving something back. A command from beyond known space. From something older than the Craxians. Something that had just noticed humanity. Project Eclipse wasn't Craxian. When Subject 9 awoke fully, she asked for Admiral Holt. In the quiet of her hospital room, she said only one thing. The Craxians didn't build Eclipse Protocol. They found it. And now, it's awake. She handed him a small black shard she had torn from the heart piercer's core. It wasn't metal. It was organic. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The shard emitted one signal, not in Craxian. Not in Terran, a third language no one recognized, except Subject 9. She translated it. Earth is active. Begin harvest, 8 cliffhanger. The coming dark in deep space where no ships travel. A single massive structure blinked to life. Black as night. Larger than any station. Older than memory. Its lights pulsed like breathing. And from within, thousands of ships began to awaken. Insect-like, silent, hungry. A voice, cold and ancient, echoed across a frequency humans didn't even know existed. Terrans resisted extinction. Let us see how long they last. Against gods. Back on Earth, Subject 9 opened her eyes again, and this time they weren't glowing blue. They were black. Humanity's last message. The silence before the storm. For 3 weeks, Earth stood still. Factories paused. Ships docked. Cities dimmed their lights. No one said it aloud, but everyone knew. Something was coming, not the Craxians, not pirates, not rival empires. Something older, deeper, hungrier. They called it the Harvesters, and they were on their way. Humanity writes its farewell on the 22nd day. The President of Earth, Dr. Helena Ward, sat in a silent recording room. There were no flags behind her. No weapons, just her voice. She looked into the lens and spoke calmly. To whoever finds this, we are the human race. We loved, we built, we dreamed, and now we fight not because we think we can win, but because some things are worth dying for. Our world, our children, our right to exist. She paused, then added quietly, if you're watching this and we're gone, don't remember how we died. Remember how we stood. The message was sent into deep space. A final echo. A last word, just in case. The sky breaks. Open it happened at 03 GMT. The stars blinked out, then returned. But wrong. Twisted. Something enormous entered the solar system. Not a fleet. Not a weapon. A living structure the size of Jupiter. Covered in black spines, breathing gas like clouds. Inside it, the Harvesters. Creatures that drained planets dry. Who fed on emotion. Who silenced every race they found. Until now. Earth's last stand Terran command activated every defense. Old satellites came online. Were drones launched, and from Mars, Luna, Titan, thousands of ships lifted at once. At their head, Captain Ilara Voss. Back in a rebuilt TDF Iron Spear, Admiral Holt, leading command from Orbit Subject 9, healed, changed. More human than ever, and somewhere in the shadows, Dax Morin, alive. Rumors said he walked out of the sun. No one asked how. The battle. No one could win. The Harvesters struck like a black tide. They moved through space like water, warping gravity, twisting metal, devouring thought. Ships vanished mid-scream. Pilots collapsed from psychic overload. AI systems fried from emotion signals they couldn't process. But humans kept fighting. One ship rammed straight into the enemy core. Another activated its self-destruct to protect a medical shuttle. On Earth, children watched the skies light up like fireworks. They didn't cry. They whispered, they're still fighting. Then something changed. Inside the Terran flagship. Subject 9 stood in silence. The alien shard from the heart piercer began to glow in her hands. She stared at it, and suddenly understood. They're not just eating us, they're learning from us. She ran to Admiral Holt. We can't fight them with weapons. We have to fight them with who we are, he stared. How? Let them feel us. All of us, all the pain, all the rage, all the hope. What it means to be human, 7. The broadcast that burned across all channels. All frequencies, a final transmission, was sent, not just from Earth, but from every human. Heart, voices of mothers singing, lullabies, cries of newborns, shouts of soldiers, charging, laughter, music, screams, dreams, billions of voices, all emotions, raw, unfiltered, human. They hit the Harvester core like a flood, and the enemy paused. For the first time, paused. Cliffhanger twist. The last memory inside the Harvester mind. Something cracked. They saw memories. Not war, not violence, but choice, sacrifice, forgiveness, love, and one image repeated across the network. A human child. Offering a hand. The giant structure began to break apart. Not from force. From confusion. They had no defense for what they felt. Because they had never felt anything. The Terrans made them feel. The new dawn, the Harvester ship collapsed in on itself, vanishing into light. The war ended, not with a bang, but with a heartbeat. Humanity survived. Not because it was the strongest, but because it was the most alive. Final lines, the message that lasted 1,000 years later. Across the galaxy, explorers found an ancient probe. It carried a single file, a woman's voice, calm and clear. Don't remember how we died, remember how we stood. They asked, Who were the humans? And the stars answered, the ones who refused to disappear quietly, the end. If you enjoyed this video, like this video, subscribing, and clicking the bell icon to stay updated with fresh content every day.